would you do if you run completely out of cash? What would you do if you wanna cut a dash? Polish up the shoes, throw on something fine. We don't talk about diesels, I'm running on style this time. Cruising down the boulevard, wheels gleam in the night. Beige leather interior, looking chic alright. Money's a little tight, but I'm feeling brand new. Living large tonight, no budget reviews. Blues! What do you mean I'm not getting paid for this?
Yes, viewers, I'm afraid it's classic no budget reviews, which means we've got the wind noise. I do apologise. We're down by the seaside today, and it is a little bit breezy. So this is a 1994 Toyota Carina E, 1.6 GLI automatic. And before you say yes, we have had a Carina E on the channel before. It was also a 94. It was a 1.6 CD hatchback with a manual gearbox. I like Saloons, viewers. I'm very keen on Saloon in general. The Nissan Sunny that I have, which is a little bit older than this, is also a Saloon. The Carina E was introduced in 1992, and the initial ones were built actually in Japan. This one, though, by 1994, they were all built at Burniston in Derbyshire. This car was known under various different names around the world. The principal one would be the Carina T190. The Caldina was the estate version in some of the markets as well. This is actually, being a relatively early car, we don't even have an airbag in here. We've got a normal steering wheel, and because this is just for GLI, we don't really have an awful lot of the way interior adornments. We've got, for example, wheel trims. We don't have any fog lamps or anything like that. I would personally prefer an executive. That would be the sort of thing that I like, but you know, I'm a strange person. So what we might do actually is go in front first, because it's a little bit windy out here. One thing I appreciate about this car, and it's not often you see this, there's actually a place in the middle here to put sort of bottles and things. It's not really a cup holder, it's not shaped like that, but you can use it as one. Got this interesting sort of Toyota security system in here. I understand this actually has an aftermarket stereo in it. It's not a Toyota branded one, but it has a CD changer in it, which is crazy. Don't quite know how that sort of was specified on you. We don't have any air conditioning. We do have electric mirrors, which the CD model I tested in 2023 didn't have. It didn't have electric mirrors. This one does. Despite the fact that this car was assembled in Derbyshire, we've still got the traditional position for the indicator stalk. It's on the right hand side, like on the Nissan Sunny, and the wipers are on the left hand side. We have got an intermittent variable switch here, which is nice. That's actually quite sophisticated for 1994. Instruments, there's really not a lot to say about the dash of the instrument. I believe the CD model had a bit of fake wood in there. It looked a bit sort of chintzy, but otherwise the dash is just an unrelenting kind of hard plastic, which compared with like a Rover 600 or even a Primera, which was very similar in terms of marketing to this, and 600 is a bit more expensive, it just feels a little bit on the dull side. It's a perfectly decent piece of engineering. Like, kind of all the controls are quite nice and they're simple to operate. Even the, you know, stereo being here and the heating ventilation being here is very good ergonomics, and the switches being up here, it doesn't feel quite as old-fashioned as I don't know, the other cars would do, like a Bluebird, which is finished production in 1990, felt very old-fashioned inside. This feels actually, for 1994, it feels up-to-date and modern. It's just that it's not particularly got the most sort of interior flair, which is fine. This car wasn't really designed at the person who wanted interior flair, not really. If you wanted one of those, you could buy a Citroen Xantia, I suppose. You know, those are a bit crazy. Again, this car doesn't have the sort of crazy 1990s fabric on the door cards, as Al, who owns this car, has pointed out to me. It's a very sort of sombre kind of pattern, whereas, you know, if you like Renault Laguna, the interior was a lot more sort of jazzy in terms of the seat fabric. There's not really much to say. We've got the electric window controls here, we've got electric mirrors, door pull looks normal, everything's just very normal. It's very easy to use, but it's just not the most interesting sort of design, which is fine. It doesn't need to be. got the cigarette lighter or 12-volt socket these days, and the ashtray there. The ashtray doesn't even feel particularly well engineered. Grab handles are, well, they're just static ones. We've got an electric sunroof in here with a safety lock as well. There's an anti-trap mechanism on there, which is good. Got power and normal modes for the automatic gearbox. Got a nicely cleaned out storage area in there for all sorts of things. This car is actually quite low mileage for 1994. It's only done 65,000 miles, which is insane. Yeah. There is storage on the top of the dash, but the thing is, if you went around the corner too fast in this, that might fall out, so maybe don't put anything very heavy in there. Do we have a tray for coins and things? No, it's a fuse box. That's a shame. I'd like a tray for putting coins in and things, but we can't have everything, can we? Right, let's actually, well, I've got the key here. Why don't we take a look at the boot? That's what we'll do next. We'll take a look at the boot. Okay, viewers, let's pull up the boot carpet. It goes down quite a long way. Oh, you're going to undo that as well. Gosh, it's really sort of over-engineered, isn't it, to do that? Give me a second to undo this. Wow, that was really fiddly, viewers, but we got it out. And there we go. We've got a full-size spare. It's not being used very much. I don't know what date it's on that, so probably not the best to use for too long. Wow. I mean, you can see just the boot floor is absolutely immaculate. It's brilliant. Obviously, the biggest problem with this, like so many other cars we hear, like the Primera or the Mondeo or whatever, is rust. That's the biggest problem with one of these. And this car is really good, so that's very positive. Okay, well, next we'll sit in the back, shall we? Right, let's get in the back. So back in the 90s, obviously, probably late 2000s, really, because these cars were discontinued in 1997. This is where you'd be spending your time on a Saturday evening, on the way back from the takeaway or something. And it's pretty good. The seats are a little bit on the firm side. The front seats are quite nice and comfortable. Maybe it's just because this car's got insanely low mileage on it. Oh yes. Oh yes, look at this armrest. That is typical sort of Japanese velour from the 1990s. Isn't that amazing? One thing that's weird about this car is that the electric window switches in the back and on the passenger side at the front, they do not correspond at all with the ones on the driver's door. They have a completely different design, which is really, really strange. I don't know why that is. One thing I've noticed as well, though, we've got, I think that's a lumbar adjuster as well for the driver, which is nice. We've got an ashtray down here as well. Other than that, there's not a huge amount to say. The headlining really good on this car as well. It doesn't suffer from the same things as, say, like, I don't know, Rover 600 would do, where the headliner drops. It's still really good. Got adjustable height seat belts as well. That's good. Again, it's very sort of dark and grey. I'm glad we've got the sunroof in here, because otherwise it would be just a little bit depressing, I think. There's no kind of wood, or we really want an executive, don't we? So we can get all the accoutrements and the appurtenances of gracious living. That's what we want. GLI will do just fine. I mean, this is probably the most popular trim level of the time. Would have been one of these on the early Carina Es. But of course, we like luxury views and we like the executive model, so that is what we would prefer. But this is absolutely fine. So, with this particular car, we have a 1.6 4AFE engine developing about 110 horsepower. From what I understand, the automatic versions have slightly more power than the manuals. Now, the previous Carina E that I drove in 2023 had a problem with a throttle body that was a bit blocked, so it didn't actually produce the power in a sort of nice kind of gradual form. It was very sudden. This one, there's no problem with that. It's all much better. There is a timing belt here. It's on this side. Unlike a Honda D series, it is fitted the conventional way around with the gearbox on the right and the engine on the left. So that's just the standard way. Very, very, very reliable engines, really. A bit of weeping there for the cam cover gasket historically or something, but pretty dry considering this car is over 30 years old now. So just to make sure to do a time belt and periodically, and then it'll just keep running, because the 4AF engines are very, very good. When I drove a Carina 2 in 2021, I had a 48F or 48FE, it was on a carb, and again, very long-lived engine, very dependable, yeah, the most sonorous one I've ever tried, but neither's the one on my Nissan Sunny, so there we go. Right, I think we're going to go out for a little spin, viewers, and hope this wind noise will go away. It's a very pleasant and easy car to drive, particularly with this automatic gearbox in it. Whether the power mode will make any difference, we'll see in a second. So 1.6 is probably the most common engine you'll find in one of these. When the car was introduced in 1992, it produced 105 horsepower for the manual and 110 for the automatic. Later on, that was actually revised to 92 horsepower, and a 1.8 model was introduced a little bit later on, which initially produced 107 horsepower, and then later on it was about 103. The one above that was the 2 litre. There were 3 2 litres available. There was 131 horsepower, 155 horsepower, and then later on, right at the end, there was a crazy one with 173 horsepower. Now that sounds a lot for this chassis, but it sounds like fun too. There are also some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. So it's not the most exciting car to drive this. If you compare this with other cars that were available at the time in 1994, things like the Mark 1 Mondeo and the Primera, which was benchmarked against the Mark 1 Mondeo, Primera, which was the benchmark for the Mark 1 Mondeo when they were developing it in the early 90s, they're much more exciting to drive. The steering in this car just feels very, very dead. It changes direction fine. The body roll is okay as well. It's just the steering just doesn't have any feel in it. It's like a lot of the modern cars are today. Even though it's not an electric system, it's an old hydraulic system. It's just very, very dead. It's a bit like the Audis in the early 90s were as well, because I own one, so I know about those. The ride seems pretty good. The road that we're on is quite bumpy, and it seems to be controlling it quite well. It's also a really comfortable seat. I can see why a lot of these back in the 1990s would have been chosen as something like a minicab, because they feel actually that they can do the miles, and that the driver's going to be spending hours and hours sitting in this seat, and he's going to be fine. Even if you bought, say, an executive or the GTI or something like that, you'd also find that actually it'd be nice and comfortable. I think the executive had a leather interior in it, so obviously we'd be choosing that one. But yeah, these cars don't really have much in the way of classic interest. It's not that they're not old enough really, because this is quite an old car now. It's more that because of the way that it sort of looks, which is perfectly pleasant and everything, but it just looks a little bit on the kind of sort of, I don't know, bland and sort of nothing to the background, which is fine, because a car like this is so rare now. Obviously it looks old and it looks very much of a period, then they do stand out. But at the time, lots of cars look like this, so it's just a sort of a very much of an artifact of its time, and that's, to be honest, that's quite good fun. I like cars from this era. I've owned plenty of cars from the mid to late 90s, and they're very good fun. The thing is that if anything goes wrong with something like this, obviously they're not worth tons of money, so you've got to buy these carefully. This one though, it's got no rust, the mileage is low, it's in actually quite nice condition. The door rubber, by the way, is just being held on the strap until Al can fix it. You might have seen that earlier on. But I've actually really enjoyed this car. It feels like you know, I've got a job at the company that makes photocopies, something like that, and this is the company car they're giving me, and I'm pretty happy, you know. Just got no care well with automatic gearbox and this nice 1.6 engine. I can see why actually these were pretty popular cars back in the day, and it was the first foray that really tried to have done into manufacturing when what time was the EEC, I think it was. And well, I quite like it.
What would you do if you run completely out of cash? What would you do if you wanna cut a dash? Polish up the shoes, throw on something fine. We don't talk about diesels, I'm running on style this time. Cruising down the boulevard, wheels gleam in the night. Beige leather interior, looking chic alright. Money's a little tight, but I'm feeling brand new. Living large tonight, no budget reviews. Blues!